So I stepped in the ring, I'm in the ropes. Never did I think it would get difficult. Never did I think that I would give up hope. And oh, if I end up broke, can I cope? And then my best friend told me I was crazy. And then my Hey everybody, welcome back to B&B's Football Happy Hour. We're back. We're bearded. We're beautiful. I'm Bobby with my man Brian.
What's going on? Glad to be back for our milestone 10th episode here. So should be a good one tonight. Should be a good one.
That's right. We have a very special show planned for our 10th one. Normally we roll in here. Brian and I will cover a topic, and then we'll have two guests on, and we discuss their favorite team. Brian and I ask them a few tough questions and see how they feel about this upcoming season. Today's going to be a little bit different. Brian and I will still start with our topic, and this week's topic is 3 players that we think have the most to prove in the NFL this year. And following that, we have a very special guest, a 9-year veteran in the NFL, playing wide receiver for 4 different teams: the New Orleans Saints, the Dallas Cowboys, the Kansas City Chiefs, and the Baltimore Ravens. And in order to find out who that is, you got to stay with us for the whole episode. So I am very, very excited to have our fella and friend on. So what do you think, Brian?
Yeah, some big stuff for us. I'm pretty excited. So just want to let everybody know, keep adding our Facebook page. We're right at the threshold at 500. We got 488, so we're up about 25, 30 people from last week. Keep adding your friends.
Yep, everyone can invite anyone. So, and
once again, I'm wearing the shirt here. I've had a few people ask about the shirts. If you guys want one, $15. We'll mail it to you. Send the money on Venmo or Cash App or whatever kind of deal you got.
I was going to rock my shirt tonight, but I thought our guest might appreciate a little different attire on my part.
Yeah.
So
I got the mug for him. I'll face the logo out for him. But
I
figured one of us has to have the shirt on to show him, and maybe we'll have him on later on during the season. Maybe he can be wearing one for us. So
perfect.
Yeah, give him a little peek.
All right, brother. 3 players with the most to prove this year.
Mm-hmm.
You want to go first?
Yeah, I'll take this one. So we didn't discuss this prior, so we don't really know who each other has.
We rarely discuss things prior. I like it that way. It keeps us on our toes.
Yeah. So let's see here. I got my list pulled up. The first guy I'm going to go with here is Juju Smith-Schuster, receiver, Steelers. Look, I'm going to give him a pass, I guess, for last year with that quarterback situation. He only had 42 catches last year, 552 yards. It's his first year without Antonio Brown. I like Juju. I just don't know. Everybody kind of thinks he was going to be the number 1 guy there in Pittsburgh. We'll see. I think he needs to have a big year this year. He's also going into a contract year, so I guess for his better sake, I would have a good year if I were him. In 2018, he had a career year. He had 111 catches, 1,400 yards in 2018. I'm not saying he needs to do that again, but with Big Ben back, he needs to have at least over 1,000 yards, 7 or 8 touchdowns, I think, and kind of solidify himself as the number 1 guy, because they did bring in Chase Claypool. So I guess the Steelers know they need some playmakers at receiver, and he needs to be the guy. So he's got a lot to prove, I think, next year.
Yeah, he crushed it in 2018. And I know, being a fantasy football guy, coming out this past year, Juju was – some people dropped him in the first round, early second round of fantasy drafts, thinking he could at least come close to replicating what he did. And good grief, 42 catches, you said? Yeah. Man, what a down year. But you hit it, man. Big Ben's coming back, and he better perform because, contract year, he's gonna want to get paid. So he's gonna have to do something to earn that money.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, he's gonna have to put it together. At least 1,000 yards and at least 6, 7, 8 touchdowns.
And he's easily the best receiver on the team, so he should be the go-to guy. He should get fed to rock. So
yeah, Big Ben's back, so he needs to produce.
All right, man. My first guy's on the other side of the ball, and that is Leonard Big Cat Williams, defensive tackle for the New York Giants. Now, he was drafted 6th overall by the Jets all the way back in 2015, and since then he's done almost nothing. In 2016, his sophomore year, he made a Pro Bowl. He had 7 sacks, but other than that, nada. He's got 17 and a half sacks in his career, and that includes 7 in one season. That's less than 4 a year averaging. Now, you want to talk about another defensive tackle in the league, Aaron Donald. Now, granted, he's probably the best player there is. However, he was drafted almost the same time, 1 year before Williams, but he has 72 career sacks already. 72. I mean, Aaron Donald had more than 17 and a half sacks in one season.
Yeah.
And Leonard Williams hasn't done that in his, it's taken him a whole career to do it. The Jets didn't want Williams, so they traded him to the Giants for, I think, a 3rd and a 5th round pick. So it's not even that steep of a price. And this year he's playing on a franchise tag. Gives him $16 million this year, but I mean he doesn't want his career to, pay under the franchise tag for $16 million and then below it this year and end up signing somewhere for some low contract that he doesn't want. So he's really got to pick it up and play like a top 10 pick and not like this, I don't know, bum that he's been.
Yeah, I mean, he's just a guy I think, I don't know, he's on the borderline of almost being a bust to me. I mean,
yeah.
He's got to produce. I mean, yeah, I mean, he looks the part, but he's kind of like he's a clowny to me. I mean, he looks the part, wants a ton of money, and just doesn't really put it all together on the field. In order to get paid and to solidify yourself as one of the best at the position. And I mean, to really kind of prove people wrong and why you make so much money. I mean, the stats need to be there. And for him, like you said, they're just not showing up. So
he's got the tools. I don't know what he's got to do to make it click, but hopefully he gets it this year.
Yeah, we'll see. Not a Giants fan, so hopefully.
I was going to say, or maybe not, because he plays for the Giants.
Yeah, who cares? Yeah. But, I think Joey touched on it, our Giants guy, so he was kind of mad about that trade or whatever he had said. He would have fired Gettleman, I guess he said, right after he made that trade. So we'll see. I'm sure he would change his tune if he has double-digit sacks this year. So.
Oh, yeah.
We'll see. All right, so my second guy, I'm staying on offense here. I love the offense side here. So my second guy right here is Baker Mayfield. I mean,
yep.
Look, Cleveland has kind of been like the sexy team for like the last couple of years. They got Odell Beckham, Jarvis Landry. I mean, they have all the talent on offense. And I mean, I believe in Baker Mayfield. I just think he might just need to keep his mouth shut a little bit and just kind of play. I think he worries about a lot of the outside noise. He is going on his 3rd head coach in his 3rd year, which is tough, 3rd coach, 3rd offensive coordinator. But he has all the tools. I mean, his rookie year, he threw 27 touchdowns, which was a rookie record. I mean, he's had some pretty bad coaches, I think. The Kitchens thing didn't work out. Hugh Jackson was just I don't know if he's really an NFL head coach.
No.
But look, I mean, Mayfield just didn't produce. I mean, he completed fewer than 60% of his passes. He had 21 picks. I mean, that's just not good enough for a team that has that offensive talent. And I mean, they even got better this year. So to me, this is kind of a make or break year, I think, for him in Cleveland, or they might be entering the old Trevor Lawrence sweepstakes or something like that next year if they can. I mean, I'm not sure. He needs to produce.
Absolutely. And we talked about him in a previous show whenever I said, one of the biggest free agent signings was Jack Conklin, man in the right tackle spot for him. And like you said, they added some weapons. They added a left tackle in the draft for Baker because the O-line was such a big issue. And they also brought in Austin Hooper, tight end. So,
yeah,
I mean, Baker being a number 1 overall pick in, a few years ago has not lived up to the hype. I mean, like you said, great rookie year, but took a big step back last year. And, man, they really have everything on offense to really put points on the board, and they just haven't done it. So, I mean, if he could end up being a backup if he takes another step back, or even if he just plays the same way he played this year. Man, good luck, Baker. You're gonna be looking for a job, man.
Because they signed, didn't they sign Keenum? They got Case Keenum, so I mean, He could be a backup. I don't know. I mean, he's been a starter in the league before. I mean, you never know. I mean, if he goes out there and throws a ton of picks, I mean, he could be riding the bench and then looking for a new team next year. So I don't know.
I think he turns it around, though. I think Baker has a big year.
Yeah, I think he will. I mean, it's kind of hard to do worse than he did last year. So let's –
you come in and
get it together.
Baker was, 21, 22 years old. He rocks out, rookie passing touchdown record. And then, I mean, good grief, what's that do to your ego? I mean,
it's tough.
And then, so hopefully the smack in the face he got last year fixes some of his issues, and he, puts his nose in the books, and he comes ready to rock this year.
Yep. Hopefully, yeah.
All right, so my next pick is sort of like it's 2-for-1 deal, and it's another Pittsburgh Steeler. You mentioned Juju earlier. And I have James Conner and Todd Gurley have a lot to prove this year. Pittsburgh Steelers running back, Atlanta Falcons running back. And, again, we talked about Gurley a couple of times. And I grouped these guys together because they're kind of in similar situations. Both have had success in the past. Both have struggled with injuries recently. And both are playing for what they hope is a big payday. In 2018, same year Juju broke out. James Conner broke out. He was a Pro Bowler, had 1,400 combined yards rushing and receiving, 13 touchdowns. Last year without Big Ben, his stats were basically cut in half. Conner is currently on the last year of his deal. Running backs don't have a long shelf life anyway, so he needs to turn it around this year. He needs to play like the bell cow 3-down back that he showed he can be, running, catching. Otherwise, he's going to be heading to free agency. I doubt the Steelers will bring him back because I think they're a club that thinks that they can just – any running back that comes in, they can mold into being who they wanted to be. I mean, they had Le'Veon Bell. They said, we don't care. You want too much money. See you later. We'll bring in this guy, James Conner. And he performed pretty well in Bell's absence. And when Conner was hurt this year, they had Benny Snell step in and Jalen Samuels. So I don't think they're going to be too worried about paying Conner unless he comes and blows it up. So hopefully he'll be able to get things back on track this year. And along with Conner, Gurley. Now, Gurley's made some money. Conner hasn't really made much money yet. Gurley's got some big-time bucks. I mean, even this year, he's making $5.5 million, but it's only a 1-year contract. And there's been a lot of talk lately about Gurley's injuries, whether he's capable of being, a feature back like he was for most of his career. But I think Gurley has got a great opportunity in Atlanta. He's surrounded by weapons. You have Matt Ryan, who might be a Hall of Fame quarterback. You have Julio Jones, who I'm pretty sure is going to be a Hall of Fame wide receiver. Calvin Ridley's starting to blow up. And I just feel like that with those weapons around him, he's going to have a lot more open running lanes. Plus, Atlanta's defense is never any good, so they're going to force Atlanta's offense to play in some shootout games, some high-scoring affairs. So I think Gurley's got a good shot at returning to form this year.
Yeah, like you said, I mean, both guys need to step it up. Conner, like you said, wants the payday. He had a rough year last year. He was injured a lot. I know we talked last week to Michael about the Steelers. He believes in him. I think he has the skills, I think, to be a pretty good running back in the NFL. But like you said, he needs to have a better year. He needs to stay on the field. So I think he has a lot to prove in sense of he wants to make a little money while he spends his time in the league. And Gurley, like you said, I think needs to prove people wrong and prove people that he's healthy and to prove people that he is that back he was a few years ago. And like you said, I mean, he's on the 1-year deal. So, it's one of those things like he can't really just hide out in Atlanta for a couple of years. He needs to go out there and produce and get that deal next year, or if he wants to stay on, stay in the league for a few more years. So, he has a lot to prove, both of them.
Now, Gurley's been a 2-time All-Pro, and he did it when he was he was getting the ball every play, and the defense knew he was getting the ball every play. Mm-hmm. So now, I mean, there's no way you can stack a box with the receiving threats that Atlanta has. So I'm telling you, he's going to have some space to run, and I think Gurley could blow up this year, man. I kind of believe that.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, I would expect him to if he's healthy. I think he's a good fantasy sleeper maybe this year. So, he's got a lot to prove. All right, so my third and final guy here. I'm going to go defensive side of the ball. I didn't want to go all offense.
There we go.
So
okay.
I'm going to go defense. Now, this is a guy that I like, and I was a big fan of, and I still am. He's not on our Eagles anymore. So, to me, this guy's had some – he's called out one of the best quarterbacks in the league, Drew Brees. So I'm going with Malcolm Jenkins right now. Not look, I'm not saying it's anything on the field. I'm saying it's a little controversial to call out one of the best quarterbacks in the league and to move into another team. I mean, those guys have played with Drew Brees for, a few years. And I know Malcolm came from the Saints before he was on the Eagles, but he's not on the Eagles anymore. He's going to the Saints. And he had a lot to say about Drew Brees, which I don't want to get into the topics. I mean, what he said was obviously needed to be said. I think he could have did it maybe in a little better way, but I think he has a lot to prove. I don't think you can just roll into that locker room with the things that have been said and just kind of not produce on the field. I mean, those guys are just going to take a look at him and be like, if he's not out there balling out and, starting every game, which he does. I mean, the guy never comes off the field, but I mean, hey,
never.
And look, it's a guy I like. It's just I'm giving him some tough love here. I mean, he signed a pretty big deal. He's getting a little up there in age. I mean, he signed a 4-year deal for like $32 million. I mean, that's a lot of coin for a guy who's getting a little older. And, he said some things about one of the best quarterbacks probably to ever play in the NFL. So in order to get that locker room kind of, not picking one against the other, I think he needs to go out there and he needs to do something. And he needs to be a leader on the field. And he needs to kind of fix that relationship with Drew Brees, I think, before the year.
Oh, yeah. And Brees came out and Brees apologized, more than once, numerous times about things that he said. But I agree with you. If Malcolm goes out and doesn't play, then it's going to be like, well, has Malcolm lost it, or is he not playing because he doesn't want to play with Drew Brees and he can't be a teammate with someone who said the things Brees said. So it's that Saints locker room is not a place. It's not a locker room that I want to be in, at least early on in the season when we get back on the field, practice, preseason, whatever. It's going to be a little touch and go, a little shaky for a while, I think.
Yeah, it's just tough. I mean, those guys obviously respect Drew Brees, and I'm sure they respect Malcolm Jenkins as well, but he is kind of the new guy going into that locker room. So it's one of those things. I mean, is it going to cause more of an issue, or is he just going to go out there and keep playing at the level he's been playing and everything will be kind of, if you keep winning, everything's fine. But to me, it just brings up more questions. So hopefully he goes in there and just keeps doing what he does, but I'm going to give him some tough love there though.
I think best case for the Saints would be Jenkins and Brees get together before they ever step foot on the field or locker room, and they hash it out so that when they walk in there, everybody's the first thing they do is give each other a big hug or high five or whatever it is. They're going to fist bump, maybe a wave across the room with Corona going on. I don't know, but whatever they got to do to embrace each other and show show support, I think that'd be the best for the Saints.
All right. Yep. Give me your last guy here.
Last one. Gosh, this poor guy. Mitchell Trubisky, quarterback, Chicago Bears. I feel so bad for old Mitch. It's not his fault the Bears drafted him second overall in 2017. It's not his fault that he was drafted before Deshaun Watson and also drafted before NFL MVP, Super Bowl champion, Patrick Mahomes. It's also not his fault that he had to deal with coaching changes and system changes over his 3 years in the league. But those are the cards he was dealt, so that's what he's got to deal with. And there have been lofty expectations for a guy who only started 1 year in college at UNC. And he had a pretty good 2018. He actually went to the Pro Bowl that year. He threw for 3,200 yards, rushed for over 400 more. The problem is, including that year, he only averages 208 yards passing a game with 1.17 touchdowns a game. And he's only completing 63% of his passes for his career. So, I mean, if your name is Joe Namath and it's 1969, those numbers are all right. But, dude, not in today's NFL. Not with these guys throwing 50 touchdowns, 40 touchdowns, 5,000 yards happens all the time now, and it's just not going to cut it. So, I mean, he's currently in the final year of his deal. The Bears already declined his fifth-year option, and they went and traded for Nick Foles to come in and compete for the starting job. So, I mean, this poor guy, if it doesn't happen this year, he is quickly going to be trading his starting job for a clipboard.
Yeah, I mean, I don't like Trubisky one bit. I think Foles is the guy there. I don't know. I mean, maybe after a week, I'll give Trubisky 2 weeks, and then Foles is the guy. Trubisky's like a Brock Osweiler to me. I mean, he's going to be like he'll hang around the league for a few years, but he'll be out of the league in 3 years. I think he can. I don't know. I think he stinks. I don't like him.
I don't disagree.
Foles.
I was not big on Trubisky coming out of college either, especially not second overall. If you got him maybe in the second round, that'd be different. But he still has a lot of work to do. And now, granted, again, the coaching changes and the system changes are tough. If you could find a coach that could get him into the system that suits him the best, he has decent weapons, but get him in a system that fits his playing style, that showcases his running ability, because he's a sneaky good athlete and he can run with the football. He'd be a lot better off. But he hasn't been there, and hasn't been able to succeed with what he's been going with and being dealt. So I don't know. I don't have high hopes for him, but you got to hope for the best for everybody.
Yeah, we'll see. I think Foles is the guy there. Week 2 or 3.
Dude, Foles might be starting from the get-go, man.
I might give Trubisky a game or two. Yeah.
I don't really like either one of them, but Foles is only good wearing green.
Yeah, but I think Foles is better than Trubisky. I don't know. I guess if I had to pick, I'd probably pick Foles.
Yep, me too.
All right, man. I think we have our guy. He's waiting to go here. So what do you want to do? Roll right into our guest here?
Yeah, man, let's do it.
All right.
All right, folks. We're finally at that spot where we have our very special guest on with us today. Former wide receiver from Washington High School in North Carolina. Former record-setting wide receiver for ECU and Conference USA stud. And former 9-year NFL veteran as a wide receiver and special teams ace with the Dallas Cowboys, the New Orleans Saints, Baltimore Ravens, Kansas City Chiefs, and current owner-operator of the Premier Sports Academy in Winterville, North Carolina, Terrance Copper. How you doing, Terence?
How y'all doing, man? Thanks for having me on.
Hey, thanks for coming. Hey, I got a question for you, Terence.
Yes,
do you know that in 2009 you were tied for 8th in the NFL with Kenny Britt for the most yards per reception?
You know what? I didn't know I was tied for 8th, but I knew that I was up there when it came to yards per reception. I did know that.
So I wasn't sure if that was a little stat I came across. I figured you'd like hearing that.
But the only way I figured it out was my agent did some research, and he brought it to the table because I think I was negotiating the contract, so we were trying to throw everything out.
There you go. That's a good agent, man.
Hell yeah, that's good stuff.
If my 35-year-old butt decides to lace them back up, I need you to get me in touch with your agent.
Definitely.
All right, Terrence, so I'm going to get to my first question. I know for me and a lot of other people, I played football in college, and once that was over, there was a huge hole to fill, and I found it very difficult to do. A lot of folks who play sports, be it high school or college or professionally, they find the lack of having something competitive in their lives very tough to deal with. So how was the transition for you going from having that elite competition of the NFL to being a guy without a sport to play, and how do you feed that competitive fire?
You know what? It wasn't a tough transition because for me, I had my fill of football. I love the game. I still love it to this day. But playing in the NFL is a job. It's tougher than what people think it is. You see Sundays, you see the glitz and glamour of it, but it's tough, man. And playing it for as long as I did, I retired in my 10th year. So playing as long as I did, once I was done, I was like, you know what? Mentally, I'm gassed. I'm finished. But to keep that competitive edge, I was always working with kids when I was playing, holding football camps, different things like that. So my transitioning from playing the sport into what we call it the real world, it wasn't as bad, especially opening up the Premier Sports Academy. It kept me around football. I got a chance to coach it, get a chance to teach it, and get a chance to be around some amazing kids and meet just a lot of different people, different walks of life, whether it be low income, whether it be high income, middle class. So you get a chance to meet a lot of white, black, Chinese. You get a chance to meet a lot of different walks of life, being the fact that I own a sports academy. So that kind of just kept fueling my fire.
Nice.
My first question for you, Terrence. like Bobby said during the intro, you grew up in Washington, North Carolina. You were a stud high school player there. You stayed home, went to ECU, which, you know, I love that. I'm a Pirate alumni as well, so, you know,
Okay.
that's great for me. So kind of just take us through, you know, the transition of you going from Washington, and then you head to ECU, and then after your senior year, you know, you're in the pros. I mean, you're leaving Eastern North Carolina, and then all of a sudden you're in the NFL. So just take us through that transition you went through, and give the listeners a little breakdown of how you made it there.
And look, I'm gonna tell you, going to East Carolina, of course, I was a Pirate fan because, you know, I grew up around Greenville. I'm from Washington, about 20 miles away from Greenville. So I was a Pirate fan already.
Mm-hmm.
But what really sold me going to East Carolina, because I was a big Penn State fan, a huge Penn State fan. So East Carolina offered me early. They offered me early as my junior year.
Mm-hmm.
And when I went in there and sat with Coach Logan, he said, well, Terrence, if you come here, you know, you're going to leave the number one receiver at East Carolina history. We won't redshirt you. And you get to get in. You get to keep your high school number 7. But he said, if you go on any other visit, but if you go on any other visit, we're going to pull the scholarship.
Wow.
That's what he told me.
Nice.
But,
Wow.
well, look, he knew that if I went
bold.
to different places, you know, it was, but it worked.
Yeah.
It worked. And the thing about it is my high school coach, Coach Pascal, he coaches over at Beargrass Charter right now. So as soon as East Carolina offered me, it was like a Pandora box open. I got an offer from Penn State. I got an offer from Notre Dame. I got an offer from Kentucky. I got an offer from, it was 2 more schools I got an offer from, like big-time schools I got an offer. And Wake Forest offered me. And so they called my coach, like, listen, we about to come down. We about to offer this guy. We about to offer him a full scholarship. And my head coach said, you know what? Don't come down. He already committed to East Carolina. He's not going nowhere else. And so he kind of shut that down for me, period. You know, he didn't even give an opportunity to entertain it, in which a lot of people would look at that and they was like, you know what? That's messed up. The coach did that. Well, in my shoes, I grew up without a father figure. So my head coach, Coach Pascal, really played a big role in my life when it came to keeping me on the right track, making sure my grades was where they needed to be able to get into college. So I really trusted Coach Pascal. And when he told me that, to me, it wasn't like, man, you shouldn't have done it. It was like, okay, cool. That's how much I trusted him. And it worked out perfect. It worked out perfectly. And so once I got to college, college was tough. Just trying to figure out how to navigate through going to school, keeping my grades up, practicing, because back then we was going 3-a-days. We went early practice, then we had a special teams practice, and we had an afternoon practice. So some of those things now are illegal. You can't even do 3-a-day practices now.
Yep.
But when I was in college, we had 3-a-days. So just trying to adapt to those different things. But it worked out perfect. Coach Logan was great for me when it came to transitioning to the pros after college. Because the offense we ran, it wasn't a spread offense. It was a pro-style offense. And once I got to the NFL, it was the transition from college to the NFL was a lot easier for me because of the offense that we ran. It was very similar to what we ran in college. Now, the way I stuck around, I stayed around in the NFL as long as I did. This is one thing for everybody that's listening. Always remember this. Never burn bridges. I'm about to tell you a story, and you're going to be like, wow, this is crazy. So this is how I stayed around. Of course, you got to have some talent. You got to be talented to stay or to stick around as long as I did. You got to be a hard worker. You can't have any pride about yourself. Whatever needs to be done, you got to get it done, you know. But for me, okay, so when I got to Dallas Cowboys was the team I went to first. Bill Parcells was the head coach. Todd Haley was my receiver coach. Kind of remember these names. Todd Haley was my receiver coach. Mm-hmm. Sean Payton was the offensive coordinator there. And so when I was in Dallas, so once I left Dallas, I played 2 years in Dallas. Once I left Dallas, Sean Payton, now who's my offensive coordinator in Dallas, now he was the head coach of New Orleans. So he knew the type of guy I was. He knew I was a good guy in the locker room. He knew I was going to be mentally tough, all the things he was looking for. So the day I got released from Dallas, I cleared waivers. The next day, Coach Payton picked me up in New Orleans. All right, so that's how I get to New Orleans. So I play in New Orleans for 3 years. Now, once I leave New Orleans, remember, I was in Dallas. Once I leave New Orleans, in Dallas, we play the Eagles every year twice because they're in our division. Mm-hmm. So my 2 years in Dallas, we played the Eagles 4 times for those 2 years. And then when I went to New Orleans, we had a contract with the Eagles. So we played my 3 years in New Orleans, we played the Eagles 4 times. We played them once the 3 years I was there, and then we played them in the playoffs again. So I played them again 4 times when I was in New Orleans. So that's 8 times I played the Eagles in my, 5-year deal, 8 years, 8 games. So the way I get to Baltimore is because now, and I did great against the Eagles those 8 times I played against them. So the way I get to Baltimore is the head coach for Baltimore was the Philadelphia Eagles special teams coach.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And so once I left New Orleans, he picked me up the next day because he knew the type of player I was. Mm. Now watch this. This is how it goes back full circle. The way I get to Kansas City was once I leave Baltimore, Todd Haley, who was my receiver coach in Dallas, is now the head coach for Kansas City. And so he picks me up the next day. Once I left Baltimore, he picked me up the next day. And
that is wild.
That's how I ended my career.
Awesome.
It's crazy. Wild, that's why I tell kids, never burn bridges. Mm-hmm. Never burn bridges. Always try to leave on good terms. Always try to do the right thing because you just never know when you're going to need that person again. So that's how I stuck around as long as I did. Man, for one, I worked my butt off, but I had great connections.
There you go. It's awesome.
That's crazy. And you probably don't know this, but Brian and I are both Eagles fans. So, yeah, I don't appreciate you whooping up on us whenever you played us.
Yeah. I wish you should have came to the Eagles, man. That would have been awesome.
Oh, yeah.
You know what? I'm not a fan of the fans.
Yeah,
I know.
Y'all guys they're tough. Yeah, they're tough, man. They're tough.
Yeah.
No, we're nice though, Brian. We're hell of a guys over here, man. We're good.
I believe it.
All right, Terrance. So as a high school track and field coach, I always encourage my kids to play other sports. I firmly believe that a well-rounded athlete is a better athlete, and I think a lot of kids, especially today, where each sport is basically year-round. They miss out on a lot of development that they could get from diversifying their sports repertoire. So how do you feel about kids just sticking to one sport all year long versus kids who might play 2 or 3 different sports growing up?
Oh, I don't like it. I do not like kids specializing in sports, especially if you're talented. If you're talented, you're athletic. Even if you're not as athletic, you still need to play multiple sports. That's going to help you with the athleticism because the movements that you do in baseball is going to be different than the movements you do in basketball and football, and vice versa all the way around. So I definitely promote doing multiple sports, at least up until your junior year. Now, once your junior year comes and let's say you commit to a school early and your senior year, you just want to stick with that sport just in case of injuries. I mean, I get that part if you specialize your senior year. But until then, you need to play as many sports as possible that you're comfortable with playing. Of course, not just playing sports to play them, but I promote playing multiple sports. That's what I did. I was a 3-sport athlete when I was coming up. I played baseball, football, basketball, and it was in that rotation every year since I was 9 years old. So I was always playing multiple sports, and it kept me in shape. It just kept me using different muscle groups. So injuries, I was never an injury-prone guy. I don't know if playing multiple sports kind of helped with that. I wasn't just wearing the same muscles out the entire year.
Definitely.
I was never an injury-prone person.
Yeah, I don't think enough kids. I'm sorry.
Go ahead. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
I don't think enough kids and parents of kids realize how playing other sports can help you in whatever sport it is you want to focus on. I mean, you sit down and obviously, yes. you made the NFL, but so many, 99% of people don't, but you sit there on your couch and you're watching the NFL draft and it's like, so-and-so gets drafted first overall. they played 3 sports in high school. So-and-so gets drafted again. They were a 2-sport athlete in college. And it's just over and over and over again. You see the greatest athletes in the world, they play all those other sports, and they're so well-rounded. They can do anything and everything. I mean, have you ever seen Vince Wilfork play basketball? That dude weighs 400 pounds and can just nail threes all day long.
Exactly. And you know who else can play basketball that's pretty good at it? Tony Romo. Tony Romo
Really?
is a monster on basketball.
Wow.
Tony Romo can play. Not only is he an amazing quarterback, he's an amazing golf player.
Yeah.
He can hoop. He can hoop on the basketball court.
Oh, man.
Yep.
The guy's got
Makes me not like him even more.
So, I mean, me and Bobby, obviously, we follow the NFL pretty closely. You know, you haven't been out of the league all that long, just a few years. I just feel like the game just changes so much from year to year with all the different rules and, you know, the safety regulations. So, you know, I mean, do you like some of these newer rules that they have in the league now? And do you think the game is safer to play now than it was when you played?
Yes, it's definitely safer. Some of the rules, don't get me wrong, CTE is very real. It's very real when it comes to brain injuries. So some of the rules I'm fine with change, but it slows, I can say it slows the game down, but it kind of takes the physicalness away from the game, even though the game is still a physical game.
Yeah.
But some hits that guys get hit when they get hits on the quarterback, they get flags. I'm looking at it like, no, there's no way they should get a flag on this play for roughing the passer. That type of stuff I feel like they should be more lenient. I understand the quarterback position is a very valuable position on the football field, but I think they let the quarterbacks get away with murder sometimes when it comes to getting hit.
Yeah,
but
I agree with that.
Me personally, when I played, I was a guy that always looked for a blindside hit. I was always looking for those. But now,
not anymore.
Those are thrown out, so you don't really get them too much.
Oh yeah, for sure.
But I'm fine. I'm fine with the rule changes. So I'm fine with some of them.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, the one that gets me is like when the hand just grazes the quarterback's helmet and like it doesn't affect the play at all, nothing. And they call that, man, that drives me
at all. Yes. Yeah, some of the rules are too much. Some of them are too much. But I do believe in protecting the players. You have to protect the players, but I think they're going to the extreme when it comes to quarterbacks.
Oh yeah. So you touched on this question I'm gonna ask you here, Terrence, a little bit. So sometimes I think kids and people, you know, they get in their minds that they're a running back or they're a quarterback or whatever position they play, like that's it. And they're very hesitant to try another position just because they love what they do and they don't necessarily listen to their coaches, you know, hey, why don't you try this? Why don't you try that? Now you dominated in high school as a receiver, you crushed in college as a wideout. You carved out, you know, a decade-long career in the NFL by mainly playing with like your special teams prowess. So how had you not been willing to focus on those special teams and the little things like kickoff coverage or blocking on punt returns, you know, maybe you wouldn't have stuck around as long. I mean, I don't know. Maybe you would have. I'm not sure. But how important is it for people who are at all levels of competition to keep an open mind, to be flexible and to bust their butt doing the extra things that, you know, maybe they don't want to do at the time, but could pay off in the future?
Yeah. So when I was in high school, I played receiver, but I was a pretty good corner as well. I played corner. So if we played a team when I was in high school, if we played a team that had one good receiver, I played him press man to man the entire game at corner. If we played a team that, you know, they threw the ball a lot, they had multiple receivers, I played safety. If we played a team that had a good run game, I played linebacker. You know, so I played in about every position on the football field defensively that you could do besides defensive line. You know, and so that right there helped out a lot when it comes to physicality, just changing my mindset on certain things. I always was a punt returner or a kick returner on special teams. But when I got to college, when you get to college, you see so many guys, and I played with so many guys in the NFL that came into college as running backs and they got transferred over to defensive end or to linebacker. Prime example, Vontae Leach, I played with him with East Carolina and also in the NFL one year. We was in New Orleans for half a year together. He was my college roommate. He came into East Carolina as a linebacker. Well, when he came into East Carolina as a linebacker, we had Pernell Griffin still there. So Vontae won't go get on the field too much at linebacker. We still got Pernell Griffin there. So Coach Logan switched him over to fullback, and he was upset about it. Like, he didn't like it. That was something he just didn't like. But he ended up being one of the best fullbacks in NFL history, because of that switch, that position. So always be flexible to be able to play a different position, especially if your college coach wants you to go there. And when it came to special teams, I didn't play a lot of kickoff. I wasn't on a lot of kickoff teams or kickoff coverage or punt return when it came to blocking. But once I got to the NFL, Coach Parcells told me, he's like, listen, your way on the team is special teams. That is your way on the team, because if you're not a starter, it's all about the more you can do. You're only going to have 53 players on your roster, and you're only going to be active. Only 45 is going to be active. So if you're not a starter and you're traveling to the game, you have to be able to do something else besides just sit on the bench and wait for somebody to get injured or wait for a sub package to come in. You got to be able to play special teams. If you can't play special teams, if you can't do multiple things that way, you're not going to make the team. They're going to cut you and get somebody else in here that can do multiple things. It's always the more you can do.
Yeah, that's perfect, man. And I mean, I played on a much smaller level than you did, but I felt the same way. Like when I was in high school, I thought I was a big shot, and I went to college, and I'm like, I'm not going to play special teams. And then it's like the second day of practice, my freshman year, and the coaches don't even know my name. They're calling me number 16. And I'm like, what? They don't even know who I am. So it didn't take me long to run down on kickoff coverage and just start busting up wedges and everything. And pretty soon I found myself on all 4 special teams units. And then by my sophomore year, I was starting on defense. But that never would have happened if I wasn't willing to be like, good grief, man, this isn't high school anymore. I'm going to have to bust my butt here and do things I don't want to do to get on the field.
That's right. And even at the receiver position, I went in, like when I got to the NFL, I was a Z receiver. So in the NFL, so just everybody don't know, the receiver position, you have a Z, you have an X, you have a Y, you have an F. So we had different groups. And one thing that I did, I learned every receiver position. I just didn't learn the outside receiver. I learned the slot, the outside, sub packages. So now you can place me anywhere. If anybody get hurt, if you need somebody to go in for this play, I know every receiver position. And so it's just the more you can do. You gotta be a guy that can do whatever they call you to do.
Nice.
That's great.
That's good stuff. So you touched a little bit, or you did touch on the 4 teams that you play with in the NFL, the Cowboys, Ravens, the Chiefs, and the Saints. Some could argue they could be one of the top 4 teams in the NFL, headed into next year. So if Terrance Copper was still in the NFL in 2020, what one of those 4 teams would you choose to play for nowadays?
Kansas City.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Take me back to Kansas City. But you know what? I love New Orleans.
Yeah.
I love New Orleans, but I also love Kansas City.
Yeah.
I love Kansas City. I guess because I was with Kansas City the longest, and all those organizations was great organizations that I played for. But I guess I'm still attracted to Kansas City, but I love New Orleans.
All right, well, I got one for you here now that I think about it. So you're 4. I'm a foodie, man. I love food. I love to cook. And so all 4 of your places are pretty well known for their food. You got Texas. Texas has their own type of barbecue. Kansas City has a completely different type of barbecue. New Orleans has that Creole food, that Cajun food. And Baltimore, Maryland's crabs and seafood, stuff like that. So if you had to pick one, what's your favorite food? Which city would you go to have a good dinner?
Oh, my gracious. I got to go to New Orleans. Right. I have to go to New Orleans.
That's my favorite. That's my favorite city for food, man. Yep.
Yeah, and I love Kansas City food, but Kansas City and Texas, they think they barbecue. I'm from North Carolina, so nobody's barbecue better than North Carolina's barbecue. Nowhere around it, Right. So even when they're trying to compare it to Kansas City barbecue, it's not even barbecue. It's not even barbecue. It's like,
yeah.
And I'm sorry if anybody from Kansas City listening, but Kansas City barbecue is not barbecue. It's like cookout food. Like when we go outside, we grill in the back. It's that type of barbecue. North Carolina barbecue is pulled pork, vinegar base. That is, to me, that's barbecue. That's barbecue.
All right, man. Hey, Brian, you got any more? Or you want to hit this rifle round?
Yeah, I guess I got one more for you.
Right.
Like you said, you do work with a lot of kids, and you kind of talked about how the game is a lot safer nowadays. I know I have a 5 and a 4-year-old. I have a son. One day, I hope he does play football. But a lot of the parents I talk to think football is too dangerous. I mean, what are some of the advice you would give parents to let their kids try out football?
I would say introduce them into maybe 7-on-7 football first, because we do 7-on-7 at a young age. Flag football. And then I'm not necessarily saying push your kids out to start tackling football early at 7, 8 years old, because truthfully, if I could have done it over again, I have boys that my oldest son goes to East Carolina, plays football for East Carolina University. And my youngest son, he is 12, but they actually started playing football at a younger age. And if I could have done it over again, I would have waited until they was maybe around 11 or 12 to start playing tackle instead of introducing it to them at 7 or 8.
Yeah.
But that was because I didn't know all the things that was going on when it came to CTE and different things like that. So I understand parents being skeptical about it, but I'm always going to be an advocate for football. And that's because football has done a lot for me. And I've given a lot to football as well. You know, so I'm always going to be an advocate for football because you learn so much from football. You learn about life when it comes to football, you know, and the only way you can learn these things is you have to play it to understand what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
You know, so I'm always going to push football. Now, I'm not going to tell a parent to sign your kid up for tackle football at 5 years old. No, I'm not going to do that. But I'm an advocate for football. I'm an advocate for it.
Mm-hmm.
Awesome
Good stuff. Yeah.
All right, Terrence, we're going to do like a little rifle round. We'll have you out of here 60 seconds or less. You good for that?
Okay, I'm good.
All right. So it's just quick little fun, like one-word answer questions. I'll ask one, and Brian will ask one, and we'll just go back and forth real quick, all right? And then when we're done, I want you to talk about Premier Sports Academy when we're finished, all right? Because that place is great, man.
Okay, sounds good. I appreciate it.
All right, here we go. Question number 1. If you have one, what's your favorite NFL team?
Chiefs.
All right. Which college do you dislike the most, UNC or NC State?
UNC.
Favorite stadium you ever played in?
Oh, that's a good one. Oakland. The Raiders.
All right. Best quarterback.
Stadium.
Who's the GOAT quarterback in the NFL? Brady or Joe Montana? Ever play?
Brady.
best
Truthfully, I'm going to go with Drew Brees, but
okay. Best defensive back you ever faced?
Sean Springs in his prime.
Nice. Best college uniform?
Penn State.
Favorite Disney movie?
Just classic. Ooh, Disney. Pass. I'm at the pass on that one. I don't know that one.
Better place to eat in Washington, Hog Heaven or King Chicken?
Oh, that's a good one. I'm going to have to go with – do I have to give you the answer? Can I give you a different one?
All right, yeah, go ahead.
Frank's Pizza.
All right, nice.
Best coach you ever had?
Curtis Johnson. Call him Tiger. He was my receiver coach in New Orleans.
Nice. All right, last one real quick. How many wins will the Pirates get this year?
That's a good one. I'm going to say 7.
Oh, I like that.
I got 2 more quick ones. Barry or Emmett?
Okay. Barry.
My man. And who's the GOAT, Michael Jordan or Michael Jordan?
Michael Jordan.
Yes. All right. Gosh, I knew I liked you. Terrence, you have been wonderful. Thank you so much for coming on our little show we got going on here. You have been great, very insightful, some awesome stuff here. Please give a shout out to your business and Premier Sports Academy.
Man, the Premier Sports Academy, we're located in Winterville, North Carolina. We train all age groups when it comes to football, basketball, speed and agility, strength training. We have 7-on-7 leagues. We have travel basketball leagues. We do summer basketball leagues. We have soccer. We train kids from age 6 on up to the pros. We train for the NFL Combine as well. It's a great place to be. I enjoy it. I'm there every day. So if you stop by, you're not just going to see somebody that's there at the office. I'm going to be there every day of the week. You know, it's something I love to do. It's really not work for me because I love doing it. But yes, the Premier Sports Academy in Winterville, North Carolina.
I can attest to everything that gentleman just said. I was out there. The first face I saw was his face walking out to work with some of the local youth.
It sure was. I remember.
Yeah. I mean, they got indoor basketball courts and batting cages, man. It was a crazy good facility.
Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah. Once again, we appreciate you coming on. I think me and Bobby will stop by, maybe give you one of our shirts here. Maybe you can wear it around for us.
Please.
We'll stop by and talk to you for a few minutes and drop off a shirt for you.
And I'm going to tell you, please drop it by. And fellas, I think I told you this earlier. This podcast is now my favorite podcast. I've done a lot of different interviews when it comes to podcasts, a ton of different ones, local and different places as well. But y'all guys are the first guys that I had to do an interview with that actually came to my facility just to check it out, just to see what it is, even though the interview wasn't at the facility. But, you know, I'm thankful for that, you know, because you didn't have to do that. I appreciate y'all going the extra mile to do that. So this is now my favorite podcast.
Nice.
Thanks a lot, man. We really appreciate that. Thank you.
Yep.
Yes, sir.
All right, man. Thanks for
you
coming
have a
on.
great night, Terrence.
All right. Thanks for having me on, fellas.
All right, Terrence. Thank you.
All right. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
What a great guy.
Yeah, man. Good stuff. We'll have to I think I've been over there for like a kid's birthday party, but we'll have to go over there and kind of talk to him and drop a shirt off to him and just thank him again. Thank him again for coming on.
I wasn't expecting the sheer size of the facility. I mean, there are fields outside. There's 4 baseball fields on the one side.
Yeah.
They got 2 areas that's probably big enough for 2 football fields. And then the facility itself, they have a little cafe where they make smoothies if you want them. They got, like I said, batting cages. They got a turf field inside with any kind of workout equipment you want. They have group exercise rooms upstairs. I think 3 full basketball courts inside. It was crazy. I was not expecting like the level of what I saw. It was great.
Yeah. It's a big place. And like he said, I mean, he likes to give back to the community. He definitely does. And that just shows how, you know, like he said earlier, he wants kids to kind of dabble in multiple sports. I mean, he has it all there for them. So any of our listeners, I know me and Bobby both live in Winterville. So we have quite a few people that live in Winterville that follow our page. So if you have any young kids that want to play pretty much any sport, take them over there and see Terrence.
As soon as, man, my son Maddox is 2 years old. As soon as he's old enough, I'll be driving him over there every day.
Oh, yeah. Good stuff, man. He was a great guy. We'll have to have him back on.
Oh, yeah.
All right. Well, I guess that wraps up episode 10. That was a great one. Our first big-time guest on there. And, you know, what a great guy. Couldn't have been a better guy.
No, that was great. I appreciate it, Brian. Send us out of here, man.
All right. So, you know, once again, you know, go out there, add your friends to our page. We're starting to get some big-time names. We might have another guy in the works Bobby's working on. So, you know.
Former NFL quarterback.
Yeah. So invite your friends. Let's get over that 500 mark. You know, let's keep this thing growing.
And we sold a few shirts, so if you want one, let us know.
Yeah. We still have a few left. We won't tell you how many we ordered, but, you know, the inventory's there if you want it. So just reach out to us and let us know what size, and we'll get it shipped to you as soon as we can.
Awesome. Thanks a lot. All right, Brian. I'll see you in a week, man.
All right, man. Take it easy.